everybody, how are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. My name's Matthew and I post ASMR videos. And I was going to say my usual Monday, Friday routine, but we are still mixing things up. So first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's subscribed recently. Like from last week's video, we had such an influx of subscribers, so thank you very much. Even though you've joined us at an interesting time where I'm normally fairly consistent, but we've had to juggle the schedule around a bit. Before we get into a little bit of a ramble and before we get into today's case, I just wanted to ask for any suggestions for true crime cases that you'd like me to cover. Leave them in the comments below. Because we're coming to the end of our list. We've still got a few suggestions. I want to say 4 or 5, maybe no, probably it's maybe 4. But yeah, any more cases that you can add to the list is greatly appreciated. Also, something's wrong with my headphones. They're not picking up the sound from the microphone, but I'm pretty sure the microphone is picking up sound on the video, so I'm not quite sure why I can't hear myself. So I'm pretty sure this should sound okay still, but yeah, not quite sure why my headphones aren't working, but I've just tried them in the laptop and played a video and I can hear through that, so not quite sure what is going on and I would like it to fix itself quickly. But as long as the microphone is still picking up sound, then I think we should be okay. So yeah, this last week has been so crazy. I've been so exhausted. What have I been doing this past week? Well, work has been crazy because I finished on Friday, so I'm now not back until the 2nd of January. But I wanted to finish all my apprenticeship assignments this week so that I could have 2 weeks where I don't have to worry about apprenticeship stuff. I managed to do that all, and I think it's all good in the hood, so that's done. But it did mean I had to do some work, and whilst I was at home. I also started the Couch to 5k to try and shift a few pounds. I don't know, people are like, why would you do this before Christmas? But start as you mean to go on. I did it with a couple of friends and we kind of started a little running group together. I always feel much better after a run, so now I've got a couple of weeks off. We're obviously not meeting, but I still need to get some runs in, so that should be all good. Sorry, I was listening to Paris and Nikki Hilton's ASMR. Sorry if you picked that up. Trying to see if my headphones would work. So we started that. I also had to wrap all my Christmas presents, so that's all done. I go to turn this for you. There they are. There's Daisy and Delilah's gifts there. And my mum, but mum's was quite easy. So yes, do I have anything else to tell you before we get into today's case? I don't think so. I'm getting my hair cut and coloured tomorrow. So, see the big dark stripe there? Hopefully that will be non-existent in Friday's video. I am going to try. Normally I put one up Monday and Friday, don't I? But because I've been a bit lax, I'm going to try and get this video up tonight. It's Sunday. Quite possibly it could work. I can get this done in time. and yeah, that should be fine. But I want to do a little, I want to try and get a video out on Friday for you. So actually, this will be good. If you could leave this in the comments below, whether or not you want a true crime case or what I got for Christmas video. Never done one of those before. Do you want to see or hear that? If you don't, no skin off my nose. Yeah, let me know what content you want to see. And speaking of the content you want to see, let's get into today's case, shall we? So, I hope that you're somewhere cozy with a warm blanket or a nice cup of tea or a nice little alcoholic beverage. I don't judge. It's your time to relax. You tell me what you like. And let's hope you're ready to relax even further as I share a story with you. Before we begin, let me gently remind you to take a deep breath in and exhale. This session will cover a sensitive and tragic case, so please listen with care and feel free to pause if it becomes too heavy. Alright then, let's begin. Tonight, we will be delving into the heartbreaking case of Tia Sharp, a young girl whose life was tragically cut short in 2012. It's a story that gripped the UK and raised questions about trust and safety and the people we allow into our lives. Tia Sharp was born on the 30th of June, year 2000, in Croydon, South London. By all accounts, Tia was a bright, bubbly and caring young girl. She had a knack for making friends and loved spending time with her family. Tia lived with her mother Natalie and often visited her grandmother, Christine Becknell, who lived in New Addington, another area in South London. Tia's family described her as a typical 12-year-old girl. She loved music, had a cheeky sense of humour, and enjoyed hanging out with her friends. But beneath the surface of her seemingly normal life, danger was lurking closer than anyone could have imagined. It was August 3rd, 2012, when Tia went to stay at her grandmother's house for the weekend. This wasn't unusual. She often spent weekends there. Christine's partner, Stuart Hazel, also lived in the house. Hazel had been part of the family for several years and was seen as a trusted figure. That Friday, Tia reportedly asked if she could go shopping at the local shopping centre. Stuart Hazel claimed he saw her leave the house around midday, saying she was planning to buy a new pair of flip-flops, but Tia never returned. When her family realised she hadn't come back, panic set in. The search began. They began searching the area and contacting her friends, but no one had seen her. The police were quickly involved. Tia's disappearance sparked a nationwide search. Posters with her smiling face were plastered across South London. Her family made an emotional public appeal, begging for her safe return. Volunteers scoured the local area area, searching parks, alleys, and abandoned buildings. As the days passed, the police began piecing together a timeline of Tia's movements. Initially, Stuart Hazel was cooperative. He gave interviews, tearfully pleading for Tia to come home. But inconsistencies in his story began to emerge, raising concerns and suspicions. Hazel claimed he had seen Tia leave the house, but CCTV footage from the area showed no sign of her. Friends she was supposed to meet said she never arrived. Despite the mounting questions, Hazel continued to insist he had nothing to do with her disappearance. After a week of searching, the police returned to Christine's house to conduct a thorough examination. This was the same house he had already searched several times, but this time they made a chilling discovery. On August 10th, 2012, Tia's body was found in the loft of her grandmother's home, wrapped in bin bags. The discovery shocked not only Tia's family, but the entire nation. How could her body have been in the house all this time, evading detection from earlier searches? The answer lay in the meticulous care Hazel had taken to conceal her remains. He had moved items around the loft to disguise the smell and to ensure her body was hidden. When confronted with the evidence, Hazel initially denied any involvement. However, as the case against him mounted, he finally confessed to Tia's murder. Stuart Hazel's trial began in May 2013. Prosecutors revealed the horrifying details of Tia's final moments. Hazel had sexually assaulted and killed her before hiding her body. His motive, rooted in depraved interest in young girls, was clear from disturbing images found on his phone. Hazel initially pled not guilty, but changed his plea to guilty partway through the trial, sparing Tia's family from enduring the full proceedings. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 38 years. The loss of Tia Sharp sent ripples through her community and beyond. Her family's grief was palpable, and questions lingered about how someone so trusted could commit such a heinous act. In the years since her death, Tia's story has been a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance when it comes to protecting children. Her case led to calls for better safeguarding measures and a deeper understanding of how predators operate. Let's take a moment to delve deeper into the background of Stuart Hazel. Hazel was no stranger to the justice system. Before meeting Christine Bicknell, he had a history of criminal behaviour, including drug offences and acts of violence. Despite his troubled past, he managed to integrate himself into Tia's family, gaining their trust over time. Hazel's relationship with Christine was reportedly rocky. While some family members saw him as a caring partner, others expressed concerns about his temper and erratic behaviour. Tragically, these red flags were not enough to prevent him from gaining access to Tia. This case highlights the importance of understanding a person's background and being cautious about who is allowed to spend time with vulnerable family members. It's a painful lesson, but no one that underscores the need for vigilance. New Addington, the area where Tia lived and where her body was found, was deeply affected by her death. The tight-knit community came together during the search, with countless volunteers dedicating their time and energy to find her. But after the grim discovery, the mood shifted to one of grief and betrayal. Memorials were set up in Tia's honour, with flowers, notes and candles lining the streets of her school. Her school held a vigil where friends and teachers shared fond memories of her. These acts of remembrance showed a depth of love and respect that the community had for Tia. At the same time, questions arose about how the investigation had been handled. Why wasn't her body found during the initial searches? Could more have been done to prevent this tragedy? These questions remain a painful part of Tia's legacy. Let's have one. We always do this. Let's see if there's any. Let's have a little look. Oh my god, there's two articles I want us to have a little look at. Let's have a go. Oh my god, okay. So there is an article from The Guardian. Tia Sharp's death. Stuart Hazel accused of killing her after sexual assault. Murder trial hears grandmother's ex-boyfriend took naked photograph of Tia, 12, whose body was found in a loft a week later. The man accused of murdering a 12-year-old girl whose decomposing body was found in his loft secretly filmed her to satisfy his sexual interest in her the weeks before she was killed, the Old Bailey was told on Tuesday. Stuart Hazel, 37, went to extensive lengths to hide the body of Tia Sharp after subjecting her to a sexual assault and smothering her in August last year, the jury was told on the opening day of his murder trial. The court heard that Hazel had repeatedly accessed paedophile images of prepubescent girls on his mobile phone. Police also found 2 memory cards from Hazel's cameras, which contained a series of secret photographs and videos of Tia. Oh my god, that poor girl. Including footage of her sleeping and her putting moisturiser on her legs. Hazel had tried to hide one of the memory sticks on top of a door frame at his home, the court heard. After Tia was killed, he tried to create the lie that she had run away from home. Tia's mother, Natalie Sharp, left the court visibly distressed as the prosecution opened the case against Hazel, who denies murder. She remained outside court when the jury was shown the last image taken by Hazel on his mobile phone, a picture he had copied to his camera and was found stored on one of his memory cards. The photograph was of a naked prepubescent girl, whom the prosecution said was Tia Sharp, lying on her bed at her grandmother's home in New Addington, Croydon. There is blood visible on the bedding in the photograph, and the corner of the picture, the hand of one of the girl's dolls can be seen. The photograph was taken after Tia's death between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on the 3rd of August last year and had been posed by Hazel, the prosecution said. Andrew Eddis, QC Prosecuting, said Tia Sharp had died a sudden, Tia Sharp died a sudden and we suggest violent death. The prosecution case is that Stuart Hazel had a sexual attraction for Tia Sharp. There was some form of sexual assault, and that was the reason he killed her. Andrew said Hazel tried to create a lie that Tia had run away from home last August and went to great lengths to hide her body and other items in the loft of his home. He wrapped the child's body in a sheet before sealing it into a bin bag with sticky tape and then hiding it in the attic. It had been meticulously wrapped and hidden. Andrew said the jury would hear the suggestion that Tia had died in an accident after falling down the stairs, and that Hazel had panicked and not known what to do. We know when she died. We know where she died. We know this. There is only 2 of them at the house at this time, so it was murder, or it may have been an accident. What we know is that after she died, he put her into the loft. Now, that is not what you normally do when someone has suffered an accident. Hazel also stored another bin bag containing incriminating items in the loft, the prosecution said. The contents included his t-shirt, which was found to have the child's blood on it, and a pair of his spectacles, which were broken and carried one of Sharp's fingerprints on the lens. The idea was to say that Tia Sharp had left home. This was the lie that was being prepared, said Andrew. Sharp, who regularly stayed in contact with her grandmother Christine and her boyfriend Hazel, was reported missing on the 3rd of August last year by her grandmother. When the press laid siege to the house after Tia's disappearance, he was effectively under house arrest, and his plan to move the body somewhere else became extremely difficult. The court heard Tia's body was found in a loft a week later. The decomposition was such that no cause of death was ascertained, although a pathologist would tell the court that that smothering was the most likely cause of death. 3 days later, after he killed her, while the search for the child was ongoing, he tried to access an incest/sex website on his phone. The court was told Hazel was arrested on Friday the 10th of August after the child's body was discovered. He was remanded in custody at Belmarsh Prison in London, where the court heard. He spoke to a prison officer. He told the officer it wasn't sexual. I'm not a nonce or a pervert, said Eddis. He said he'd been playing with her on top of the stairs and she fell down and broke her neck. In a letter to his father written from prison, Hazel said, "If I had a chance, I would end it here. I've got no money, no fags, no hope. It's the Hazel curse." this is a really bizarre article. So, yeah, really bizarre. But that poor girl. I've just lost the other article I wanted to read to you. This was an interesting article. Murdered Tia Sharp's mother found guilty of Little car park attack. The mother of murdered schoolgirl Tia Sharp has been found guilty of attacking a woman in a racially aggravated row over a parking space at a South London supermarket. Natalie Sharp, 34, of Canterbury Road, attacked the victim, who is Kosovan, in Wallington on 18th of April last year. This was off the 16th of March, guys. Not the 16th of March. 24th of March 2016. This is a BBC News article. Sharp was sentenced to 12 months of community service with unpaid work. Judge Sonia Woodley QC said that sadly her daughter's death had almost certainly had an effect on her. Tia's grandmother, Christine Bignell, was found guilty of racially aggravated harassment. Judge Woodley said that although Bignell did not assault the victim, she behaved in a disgraceful way. Duncan Cook, prosecuting, said during the assault, Sharp punched the victim 3 times in the head, kicked her legs and grabbed her by the hair. Sharp also swore at the victim and said, "Go back to your own country." The argument began after the victim parked in the mother and baby parking space, despite not having a child with her. After deliberating for less than 3 hours, the jury of Croydon Crown Court found both women guilty. Tia Sharp was 12 when she was murdered in New Addington, South East London in 2012. Stuart Hazel was jailed in May 2013 for a minimum of 38 years for her murder. This just gets way out of control. There was some unexcusable behaviour from Tia's mother. I'm not quite sure we can obviously what happened to Tia was horrific, absolutely horrific. It's so heartbreaking, but then it doesn't give her mum the right to behave the way she did either. But I can understand her mother holding on to so much anger for everything. But I could see why something actually quite trivial can make someone snap. But from the sound of what the article was saying, it doesn't excuse racism at all. So then it makes me wonder, was she harbouring onto rage, or was it purely racial? There's a lot to unpack there. The media played a significant role in Tia's case from the moment she was reported missing. News outlets covered every development. While this brought much needed attention to her disappearance, it also added pressure on her family and investigators. Some criticised the sensationalised reporting, arguing that it overshadowed the human aspect of Tia's story. Others pointed out how media scrutiny may have influenced the investigation. For better or worse, regardless, it is clear that the media's involvement shaped public perception of this case. In the aftermath of Tia's death, many have sought to learn from this tragedy. Schools, community groups and law enforcement agencies have worked to implement better safeguarding measures. Programs aimed at educating children about personal safety and recognizing warning signs have become more widespread. Tia's family has also spoken about the importance of trusting one's instincts. If something feels off about a person, it's crucial to take those feelings seriously. These lessons, though born from pain, have potential to save lives. Thank you for listening to tonight's ASMR True Crime session. Tia's story is one of unimaginable loss, but it also reminds us the importance of cherishing our loved ones and being mindful of who we allow into our lives. Let's take a moment to reflect, sending love and light to Tia's memory and her family. Remember to be kind to yourself as you process this story. Take another deep breath in. And exhale. If you would like to hear more true crime stories, feel free to let me know. Until next time, stay safe and take care. Night, guys.